Imagine waking up one morning and the entire transportation grid of your city has fundamentally changed overnight. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a blueprint so aggressive, so precise, it honestly feels less like your standard corporate expansion and way more like a covert military operation. We're going to break down exactly how a tech giant manages to orchestrate the hostile takeover of a city's transport infrastructure in literally just 4 days.
74. I really want you to process the weight of that number for a second. Since the start of 2011, Uber didn't just, casually open up a few regional offices. No, they aggressively materialized in 74 cities worldwide. For most corporations out there, entering a single international market, that takes a year of planning, millions of dollars, endless boardroom debates, but Uber did it 74 times in rapid succession. And honestly, that was really just the warrant.
Now get this, 13. In just the first 50 days of 2014 alone, they captured 13 more cities. That is a completely new city falling into their grid roughly every 4 days. It's absolutely staggering, right? It just completely shatters our traditional understanding of business gravity and global logistics.
The architects behind the impossible scale of global expansion. So, the crucial question you're probably asking yourself is how? How is this actually executed on the ground? Because you can't simply wish a heavily regulated transportation network into existence. You need a system. Or rather, you need very specific individuals.
Enter the launcher, an elite operative responsible for rapidly dropping into a city to build an Uber business entirely from nothing. These guys are the absolute tip of the spear. We're not talking about a traditional regional manager sitting comfortably at a desk. This is a highly specialized, hyper-agile operative tasked with a mission that sounds completely impossible to anyone on the outside.
Jumbo Poloniapan, Uber's head of EMEA expansion at the time, actually described these launchers as, quote, a blend between U.S. Navy SEALs and logistics wizards. Let that sink in for a moment. Navy SEALs. We aren't talking about guys in suits handing out business cards at networking events. We're talking about elite problem solvers who literally parachute into the absolute unknown and construct an empire out of thin air.
The mission timeline goes from 8 weeks to as little as 4 days. See, the clock starts ticking the very second their boots hit the ground. Usually, a launcher has exactly 8 weeks to conjure an operational transport network where previously there was nothing at all. And hey, 8 weeks is already absurdly fast. But sometimes the entire mission is executed in exactly 4 or 5 days. Just imagine dropping into a totally foreign city on a Monday morning, and by Friday evening, you've got a fully functioning revenue-generating fleet. Crazy.
So how on earth do they actually do it? Well, it's this frantic tactical checklist. 1. Grasp the transport ecosystem instantly. 2. Navigate local regulation and, let's be real, master the loopholes. 3. Build the pricing algorithms. 4. Secure a physical beachhead and rent an office. And 5. Convince local drivers to join a digital platform they've literally never heard of before. It's just a relentless blur of execution.
Phase 2, the local machine. Now, the shock and awe, that initial drop, is really only the beginning. This is where the structural genius truly lies. Each newly conquered city operates with only minor headquarters oversight. They function as completely autonomous startups. It's not being micromanaged by folks back in San Francisco, because that would just bottleneck the momentum. Instead, it moves with absolute local agility, backed by massive global capital.
To run these autonomous nodes, the launcher has to execute their final objective, handing off the keys. They target and incubate the absolute top local talent from highly relevant regional industries. In London, for example, they poach ruthless operators right out of the finance sector. In Dublin, the hyper-competitive tech sector. Germany, corporate businesses. The launcher builds the machine, hands the remote over to a trusted local expert, and then extracts, fully ready for the next drop.
Which brings us to the competition's reality.
Let's step back and look at the broader battlefield here. While other companies are holding traditional meetings and planning safe, steady growth, Uber's launchers are out there aggressively reshaping the globe. Just compare their massive global footprint to rival ride-hailing apps at the time. You had Halo sitting at a respectable 16 cities, and Lyft at just 20. Next to Uber's sprawling empire, the competition literally looks paralyzed. This absolute supremacy is the direct result of that ruthless boots-on-the-ground deployment strategy.
The architect's vision. CEO Travis Kalanick. Obviously, a machine like this doesn't just build itself. Behind every aggressive corporate takeover is a mastermind orchestrating the chaos.
At the time, Kalanick was the guy pulling the strings. And if you thought the terrifying momentum of this machine was going to slow down anytime soon, his vision for the immediate future was somehow even more relentless.
1,000. That was Kalanick's master plan back in 2014, to take the entire total headcount of Uber, which was sitting at around 550, and nearly double it to over 1,000 within a single year. And you know what? A massive portion of those new recruits were launchers. They weren't just maintaining the machine, they were actively multiplying the operatives, essentially pouring rocket fuel onto a logistical fire that was already burning across the globe.
So it leaves us with this thought. When a company builds a machine so efficient, so utterly relentless, when they can orchestrate the hostile takeover of a city's entire transport grid in just 96 hours, where exactly does the empire stop? It's a chilling, brilliant mastery of logistics that forever changed how we view corporate expansion. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep analyzing the structures around you, and I will see you next time.